Hey guys, what's up? I want to teach you everything you need to know about Python, but before we can do that, you're going to need to download a couple things. In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to download. First, start off by opening any browser you feel. Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, I guess if you still use that. You're going to go to python.org/download. This should take us to the download page for Python. And you're going to have to download Python 3. Make sure it's Python 3, the latest version. And I'll just skip forward so you don't have to look at me download it. And we're back. Looks like it finally finished. All right, now you're going to want to hit add Python 3.6 to path. Go to customize installation and make sure everything here is checked. Go back and install now. Gonna wait for that to install. Well, while that is installing, let's download another program I use called Visual Studio Code. Not to be confused with Visual Studio Suite. Just gonna hit the download button. Download for whatever software you have, operating system you have. Just let it download. Now, this is the code editor I will be using. You guys don't necessarily have to use this code editor, but it's the one I recommend because of all the extensions and plugins you can add to it. Sublime Text, Atom, Visual Studios itself, whichever one works for you should suffice for the tutorial. As long as you can handle Python, of course. Looks like Python is done installing. Now, I already have Visual Studios set up on this computer, so I don't necessarily need to go through the installer, but it's very straightforward, so you'll be fine. Let me open Visual Studio Code. Now, for Visual Studio Code, you need to download the plugin for Python. So you're just going to go to the extension, and just hit install. While that is installing, why don't we make a new project or folder, I guess is the way Python uses it. New window. Let's open a folder. Now I'm just going to make a folder in my documents file. Python 101. Oops. That'll be the folder we use. Now, before click select folder, the number one thing you should remember, and no matter what language you're using, never use spaces. It may work here every now and then, but in the long run, it's just generally bad practice to use spaces when naming files or folders or whatever. So I highly recommend you avoid doing that. I know I misnamed that file, but that's a bad example trying to do that. But you want to try to do something like this, Python 101. Python should be done installing. Yep, as you can see, it's installed. Now we're going to install one more extension onto Visual Studios so that's perfect for our environment. I'm going to create a new file. Doesn't matter what you call it, just make sure you call it something. I'm just going to call it restart. I don't know why I thought of that, but restart.py. Now, whenever you name a Python file, you always have to give the extension .py. It's very, very essential that you do that because the computer won't know what program it won't know what language you're programming in unless you put that file extension. And as you can see right here, Visual Studio Code actually tells you what language you're coding in. The file is that file is coding in by a little symbol next to it. That's the Python symbol. So if I gave it a symbol, for example, .txt, you see the symbol changes. Or I believe C# looks like this. No, yeah, never mind. .c. There's also, if you tried, well, that's beside the point. But you just know that you're supposed to use .py when naming Python files. Looks like everything is good. And then if you're using Visual Studio Code, you should see this little pop-up. This pretty much is kind of a compiler, and essentially what it does is that before you run your code, it automatically reads through it beforehand and kind of tells you what mistakes you made in the syntax. So maybe, let's say, if I typed if and misspelled if and put id, the compiler would see that and tell me you misspelled it, or that's not a function, and it would tell you to fix it. So we're just going to install this. Yep, just wait for it to install. And it should be done. Perfect. Now, let me explain a couple things in Visual Studio Code. It's not necessarily only for Python. It's great for whatever language you need to code in, C# or Python as we're using, or you can just make regular text files in Visual Studio Code. But it's great for pretty much anything. What you should know about this is that in Visual Studio Code and when you're downloading stuff for Python, alright, so that pretty much concludes everything that you need for Python. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. Leave a like, subscribe, please comment on what I could have done better. See ya!